Broadcasting. And we're live. So, hello, everyone, and welcome to Adventure on So Many Levels. We're going to play some Dungeons and Dragons.
I want my D&D.
I'm Christiana Ellis, and I am the Dungeon Master. Our players tonight, Jenny Meltzer as Zaylene.
Hey guys.
Paul Fisher as Zinhorn Windborn.
Good evening.
Starla Hutchton as Carolina Swift.
Hello, friends.
And Mark Kilfoyle as Nedry Shiny Rock.
Finally, another place with more questions.
So, when last we left the Pocket Protectors, they had made a tentative probationary peace with the government of the Tashmian Empire, made an informal arrangement with Nelson Devereaux, friend of the Emperor, to perhaps work with them rather than against them in investigating some of these mysteries. First and foremost is a month ago, you were all involved in an incident wherein a major government building in the city of Pashan seemed to be disintegrated into a bunch of evil fungus. However, there was evidence that perhaps the building and the people inside were not just disintegrated or consumed, but rather transported somewhere. And so you all agreed to investigate. And traveling in through this strange fungal portal, you found yourself in what appears to be an enormous cavern, overgrown with a forest of all manner of different and strange alien fungi. And you encountered some of them that fought you, tried to poison you with mind-altering and perhaps more body-altering spores. But you were able to fight off that attack, cleanse yourself of that infection, and then you encountered a mysterious figure wrapped head to toe in cloth. And as they pulled down their face mask, it was, in fact, the Tabaxi Marshal, whom you had met at that building a month ago, who was surprised to discover you and said, "Have you been in here all this time?" And that's where we resume. She wants to know.
Well, before anybody can say anything, Carolina just like runs up and hugs her, like so tight, so happy, just babbling on. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you're here. We didn't think anybody survived, and we didn't only know until just recently that, maybe you got transported into another pocket dimension,
So
and it's just
she manages to disengage from your hug in a gentle but nonetheless undeniable shrug. Like she's like, well, thank you. I guess I'm glad to see you too, especially since y'all look like you're more or less yourselves for the moment. But so my guess then is that you have arrived more recently than when everything happened.
We just got
Yes.
here.
we just got here
Yes.
through that wall.
Yes.
I mean, it does depend upon relativistic time dimensions, but probably.
Okay, but guys, we don't have a lot of time. I'm just going to say that. I don't know how much time we have, but the portal that we came through looks like it's eating away, like the acid is eating away at our rope. So, do you have other survivors with you from?
Well, yes, we do. They're not far away. I mean, I was there with them when we heard the commotion over here. But you say you have a way out?
Yes.
Now that you have a rope hanging from there, like I think you're close enough. You can kind of point up.
Yeah, we have a rope, but we actually also have a tower that we can just sort of swish everybody into the tower, and the tower will shrink down magically, and we will carry you out through the tower so that way nobody gets hurt.
Wow. Okay. No, that's great news. Here, let's see. I can get you back to. We got the structure over there. There's about 25 of us that are like still are ourselves. But see, that's the trick, though, is that most of the people who are in here with us are not themselves anymore, and I don't think that they're going to cooperate.
What do you mean, not themselves?
Well, since we're going there anyway, it might be easiest just to show you.
Okay.
Okay. So here, try to cover your mouth and your nose with something if you can. Just your hand if you got nothing else, but do something. She's putting up her own sort of.
I will dig
facial-
into my bag of mini clothes.
Mhm.
Just start pulling out things and passing them around.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wrap my billowing cloak around my face.
All right. So when we start getting closer, you're going to see a light on the horizon, and you're not going to want to anyway. But let me go ahead and just tell you, don't look at it. Don't look at it any more than you have to.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
What happens if you look at it?
Well, I mean, it's kind of unavoidable. You'll find out, but we're not going to get close enough for it to be a real problem. So, again, it's probably just easier for you to see for yourself.
Would wearing sunglasses help me?
Maybe. I don't
I'm
think
gonna
any
put
of
my
us had them.
shades on.
All right. So as she's leading you kind of hurriedly through this, fungal forest, you start seeing bits and pieces of what look like the building that had been consumed a little bit at a time. You see just chunks of wall or furniture here and there kind of sitting haphazardly, having been, broken off into tiny pieces as it was consumed and deposited into the fungus. But as you are getting a little closer, the ground beneath you starts getting like wetter, and it's a little bit more swampy beneath your feet. And then as you kind of make a curve in this little bit of a path, there is sort of a hint of light that starts to show sort of above, not it's not tree line because they're not trees, but the taller fungus, starting to see it sort of above the trees, almost like a beacon on a tower, right? Is where it would be. But even as you just start to kind of be aware that it's there, it's just even as you kind of find your eyes drawn up to it, it does have just sort of a weird like it's almost like a sound in your head. There's just looking at it even for a moment just sort of seems to set up this strange psychic vibration in your head that's pretty unpleasant.
Okay. I
And
will avoid looking at it.
mhm. Yeah, so just keep your eyes on your feet, which is going to help you avoid tripping and falling in this muck anyway. But yeah, uh,
Did,
y- y-
did the
sure you see what
sunglasses
I
help
mean.
at all?
I think they. Well, I do try like taking them off and
Yeah.
like to compare. Um, I think they help a little bit, but not enough to eliminate the effect.
Okay.
So yeah, I think you still feel that same thing, but the intensity is perhaps a little bit less
Okay.
with them. But nonetheless, I think it's pretty unfun to even do the experimentation with it, because just whatever it is about this light just really it's just it kind of makes you almost feel sick to your stomach just even having it enter your eyes.
Okay.
But as you get a little closer, you find what looks almost like a little bayou or a swamp with little like lakes and rivers, and you see that there is a relatively intact chunk of the building, in the sense that there are at least mostly complete walls around like a 2 to 3 room suite sort of thing that seems to have managed to come through more or less in one chunk. And you can see peeking out through some of the openings that there are a bunch of people in there. And in fact, actually, I'm going to go ahead and show you all a map here. Although I don't know that we're going to necessarily have combat right here, but I'm putting you in the Roll20 map, and so as you're kind of coming through, you're finding that there are a number of people, about 25 of them, all kind of crowded into this one more or less intact structure. But what you see past there, a little further, is that there's fewer of the tall fungal trees here, and so as you look past, it's harder to avoid looking up at the tower in the distance that this light is at the top of. And you see, though, as you extend your gaze a little further out, that there are dozens and dozens of humanoid figures that seem to have little bits of like mushrooms or other strange organic shapes emerging from their head or shoulders, and they are all just kind of standing idly staring up at the light.
Oh,
And,
that's not good.
yeah.
Are those the people that you were talking about?
Yeah, I'm afraid so. So we've in the time that we've been here, we've been, doing the best we can to keep everybody clear. We've got a priest of Solomonia here who's been helping us out, getting us clean food and water and cleansing some of what we've found here that seems to be more or less edible, trying to purify us when they can. But it was just too many people for one priest, and gradually people kind of got infected by the spores, and over the course of a day or so, they would just find the urge or compulsion almost to just kind of wander off and start looking up at the light, and then it's as you see, and we've lost 80% of the people that were here.
I wonder.
Okay.
So I have a mechanical question.
Mm-hmm.
The Dance Your Heart Out, the songs that you gave me,
Mm-hmm.
I don't see in the descriptions limits of how many times they can be used per day.
Well, the limitation is just in that it costs a level of exhaustion for the people who do it, right? And so that becomes kind of its own limitation. I don't think there's a limit on how many times you can perform it.
Okay.
But
That was my question.
nonetheless, though, it also does require the willing participation of the
Mhm.
people, right? So if they're not willing to participate, then they don't gain any benefit. But yeah, so as you can see, and then certainly as you're coming out, as you're approaching the building, you've got the half-elf assistant, Daryl, who was her assistant and stenographer when she was interviewing before, hurries out to greet her. And you see among the crowd of frightened-looking people who are all huddled into this little building here, you also see an elf who is wearing, the priestly vestments of a priestess of Solomonia, who looks to you with perhaps a little bit of hope, a little bit of concern. Certainly, this is a change to what they were dealing with. So Tabitha calls out to everyone in there, just saying, all right, everyone, we may have a change to our situation here. I would ask you to listen to these folks right here. I believe that they can be trusted in this specific circumstance, and time may be a factor, so please listen attentively. She looks to you.
All right. I'm going to need everybody to organize and move behind us. We're going to go back the way we came. We have a tower out there that you're all going to go inside. And then we're going to take you out.
It should be protection from all of the fungus.
I think Nedry's giving the side eye, seeing Darrell there, so I'm going to cast. He's going to cast Detect Nightmare.
Okay. Yeah, so it's just an action to cast, right?
And lasts for about 10 minutes. So he's going to be kind of casually scanning people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm making that casually,
Yeah,
actually.
so you actually don't detect the presence of any Dunatherian style corruption here. I think when you cast the spell, it certainly attracts the interest of the priestess of Solomonia. She just looks at you like she doesn't complain or object or anything. You get an expression of like, like she's just surprised she doesn't recognize the spell and is not sure what you're doing.
It's a precaution based on what happened last time.
Very well.
So, all right, everybody out this way, be careful. We took care of all of the things out there, we think, but stick together and just follow us. Zinhorn, do you want to take the rear to make sure that everybody gets out safe?
Yep, I'll do that. Does
about
anyone
the-
need any healing or anything like that first?
What about the people over there?
The
Well-
priestess says, "That's my concern as well. Is there anything that we can do for them?"
Have you tried lesser restoration?
Yeah, lesser restoration is effective when the spore infection is at its early stage, but just myself, I've not been able to. I can only perform it so many times in a given day, and we have a lot of people exposed to the spores.
Have you
Well-
spoken to any of them? Have they said anything?
The priestess steps forward and says, "They have been claimed by the demonic corruption. They are no longer responsible for their own actions or able to communicate. Once the infection reaches a certain stage, this becomes the case. I don't know that it's possible that greater restoration or something more powerful might be able to restore them. I suspect that if the source of the corruption were to be eliminated, it may be easier to recover them all, but in the meantime, they're not cooperative."
Okay,
Well,
so
I-
here's what we can do. We can get everybody that's here right now out, and we can go for reinforcements up above and come back. And that way make sure that everybody who's here now is safe. They're not in the area of corruption. And then we can come back and take care of this without risking anybody else that's here.
Do you know what the source of the corruption is?
So Tabitha, the Tabaxi marshal, says, "The tower up there, I can understand you not wanting to take a close look at it right now, but the tower is the tower that was part of our building when whatever it was happened, when that fungus came and swallowed everything. But so the one tower is the only thing that seems intact, but there wasn't anything at the top of the tower that would do that. As far as I knew, it was a storeroom. So I don't know what's up there, but Essel here, gesturing to the priestess, she says she thinks it's demonic."
Huh. Well, let's get the people we can save out now, and then we're going to come back and try and take care of the rest of this. But
I just
let
want
us
to try
get you
one
out
thing first.
Okay,
I just-
what is it
What do you
something
want?
that like
I don't
you
have to
need
get that
help?
close.
Okay.
No,
Can I
Tabitha's just
start
saying-
ushering people out
Sure.
while you do this?
Yeah. So if you want to have like some of the party stay here while others are
I'll
escorting,
stay with Nedry.
All right, I'll take the rear guard with Buster, and Zaylene can lead them to the tower.
Okay.
Okay, so Zaylene is with all of the others, but so you have your tower that you left set up, right? Or did you take it down?
No, we left it set up
Right,
because we
okay.
ended up getting immediately into the fray, so
Hmm.
we didn't take it down.
Okay, yeah. So I think you can certainly head in that direction. What are you doing in the meantime, Nedry, as they're getting ready to depart?
He's gonna try to judge the distance and basically go around the tower to about here.
So this building that you're in
Or
right now
around the
wouldn't be a tower.
walls.
You can just
Yeah.
see, yeah.
To about there. So he's
Mhm.
kind of the closest one, I think, is this guy here. And he's
Yeah.
just going to try to think at him and see if he
Okay.
connects with the mind.
I think all you get is a sort of a very quiet, awestruck voice that says, "So beautiful."
Interesting. They seem to be terribly overwhelmed by beauty of all things. If I move a little closer, I should be able to read his mind to find out more.
I will physically grab hold of the back of Nedry's shirt and make sure he does not go any closer. I don't think that's a good idea until the others come back.
Well, there's not much I can do in the meantime.
Well, I know, but I mean, we could discuss, any possible ideas for freeing them. It sounds to me like they've kind of been, charmed in some way.
Maybe. I can't tell any corruption from this distance. They're too far away. But if it's something like that, maybe that's also part of it. If whatever created this realm, or rather breached it, or, well, there's a lot of different terms to use, it might be of the Denetherian magic itself. It may or may not be intelligent so much as, I don't know, an attractant.
Did you sense any corruption of any
Not from
kind?
those people. They seem to be all safe, but if the priestess was able to cleanse them, maybe it didn't take hold. It's hard to say. I didn't detect any from the other fungus people either, though.
Yeah, if I was closer, I could maybe try some of my music, but I don't think we should get that close yet.
I mean, I can pull you back.
I think I would rather wait for the others.
Oh,
no
I can
offense
just
or
pull one of
anything.
them to us. We could do that.
How many times can you do that?
A few more.
Well, I guess you can start with one.
Are you?
And so he will ends up being a higher level cast because that level's all gone. He will use Vortex Warp
Okay. And
to pull
so
the nearest one. Now, this is a
this one right
if
there?
it's resisted, it's a Constitution saving throw.
Okay. Yeah, I think it would. Let me get some stats up. It would be like having actual stats for the creatures that there are a bunch of in this episode might be useful. Here, I'll just Constitution, you said? Yeah, it fails. It does not seem
Okay.
to have much in that department.
So I'll bring it within 30 feet. So
Okay.
basically right around the shore there. Oh, I can't click on that one. So yeah,
So about
right
right
above the
there.
shore. Yeah. A little closer inland. So
Okay.
like right there.
All right, like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
There.
Yeah. So as you bring it in and it sort of plops into that spot, it definitely sort of reels and wobbles in the sudden new circumstance, and then it looks back up towards the light and starts kind of shuffling in that direction slowly.
I would like to start with counter charm.
Okay.
So yeah,
Sure.
I'll try with the lesser
Sure. So
the
I think
lesser magic first.
we've done it once before, but the counter charm is something you do continuously, right?
Yes.
It's just like a melody you're playing on your lute.
Yes, it says during that time, any friendly creatures within 30 feet that can hear me gain advantage on saving throws against being frightened or charmed. So this is an experiment.
Okay. All right. As far as you can tell, it does not seem to react to that at all.
Okay.
I'm going to cast Detect Thoughts.
Okay. In detect thoughts, you basically get the same reaction that you got before. The surface level thoughts are just so beautiful.
Yeah, he's definitely got to probe deeper though,
Okay, yeah.
to try to kind of pick out the memories and see if they can kind of work backward to figure out when they first were
Mhm.
infected, that sort of thing, and then kind of
Sure.
see if there's any more coherent thought around
All
that.
right. So I rolled a wisdom saving throw, but it was also by far a failure. I think, though, what you find when you look deeper is that if there is anything left of who this person was, it is buried so deep you can't find it. All that there is basically a desire to worship the light.
It's
That's
almost
all that you
like
can get in there.
it's almost like those others that we were facing. They weren't really people. They were just fungus or growth. And while these look more like people,
Mhm.
I'm not picking up any mind left.
Yeah, let me be clear. It is clear that this is a person with dramatic fungal infestation coming out of them. There's fungus growing on them and perhaps in them and out of them. It's real gross looking, but it does look like it started with a regular person as opposed to those other things, which looks like they were just actual plants that grew in a person shape.
Mhm.
Look, we've got Viv in the chat. Hello.
Hey, Viv.
Hmm. Hmm.
I can follow him a little bit to see if I can dig any more, but I'm not finding much.
I wonder if I'm going to try dancing lights,
Okay.
like trying to replicate, like coalesce those shapes into something similar and like put it in front of it and like try to
Almost like a
coax it back
miniature
this way.
version of the tower or something.
Yeah, like the light that's there.
Okay. Well, it's definitely only looking in the other direction now. So I think if you put it like between you and this thing, it's not even looking back at you. But
Right.
you could
Yeah,
put it
I
sort of
would.
in its field of vision, like right
Right.
here or so. Okay.
Right.
As I think that gets it to briefly turn its head to look at what that is, but it does not appear to be fooled. It glances at it and then turns back, and it's shuffling clumsily through the you know thigh deep muck here and heading back towards the tower.
I still have a few more ideas to try.
Do you think
And he'll
dispel
cast,
magic will work on it?
Sorry.
Do you think dispel magic would work on it?
That was one of the things I wanted to try. It's too far away to try to remove a curse.
And so he'll cast Dispel Magic, 3rd level.
Okay. Go ahead and make the check.
Oh man, I don't even remember what the check is now because it's changed.
Would be just an intelligence check, ability check.
No, at his level, he
Oh,
gets, I
right.
believe.
You have like a wizard trait feature or something.
Yeah. Where the heck did that go? Shoot.
Oh, because this dispel magic's obviously abjuration, so you have that
It
benefit.
says 10 plus the spell's level for me. I don't know what it is for you.
Well, that's what sets the difficulty.
Right,
But,
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's just he gets his proficiency bonus.
that sounds right to me.
There's no ready-made for that, so I'll just
Mhm.
roll. Oh,
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a low roll, alas. So I think that you don't really you find your spell. It's kind of the equivalent of kind of just splatting against a brick wall. It seems like you don't know that a dispel couldn't ever do anything, but whatever it is substantially more powerful than you were able to muster in that attempt.
I'm too tired to really focus on it. It's going to take more study.
Hmm.
slosh, slosh as it's making its way back towards the tower.
Because
I
I have
could
that,
keep it in
that other
place, but-
song that I use, but it has to choose to dance, and right now it doesn't. I don't think they want to choose anything but looking at the light.
There's not really anything there. It's as though everything has been replaced with that light. What do you think the light is?
I'm trying not to think about it too much because I don't want
Mhm.
to turn
Uh,
into a mushroom guy.
Well, and I'm going to say that, like, even just being out here where you, even if you're not looking up at it directly, you're just sort of standing in its, radiance. I feel like you're starting to get kind of a headache.
And I don't. Why don't we go back in and it's hard to think.
I hate leaving, but I need to think about this.
So yeah, I guess we leave.
I think if you move back as soon as you're behind, total cover, essentially, like behind a wall that just blocks the light completely, it's like walking into air conditioning on a hot day. It's just immediately better. The if someone had been squeezing your head really tight and then they stop, it's very obvious that it's the light that's doing it. Or
It's
at
an
the very
impressive
least-
amount of
Yeah.
it's an impressive amount of power, and clearly somehow related to this place, given the way they're transforming.
So, in the meantime, Zinhorn, were you going with Zaleen, or were you just kind of watching the back for Lynn?
No,
and Nedry?
I'm going with them
Okay.
all the way to the tower because I got to get Buster in the tower for the transit.
Okay. So I think that as you are making your way back to the tower, there's definitely the occasional slight rustling sounds in the fungal forest that make you wonder if something's going to come out, but nothing seems to. And as you reach your tower, I think there's a disconcerting amount of just where it's sitting on the ground. The sort of just moss on the ground seems to be creeping up the sides of the wall in a disconcerting way. It's not made a lot of progress, but it's only been like half an hour.
Right.
Yeah.
So I will usher everybody in, but I actually want to talk to the priestess a little bit before
Mhm.
she goes in.
Sure.
I'm curious why you think this is demonic in nature. Like, have you seen any evidence or heard any mutterings that were abyssal or
I performed communion ritual with my deity, Empress Solomonia, and she told me.
okay?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It is abyssal in nature.
All right.
It is unambiguously evil.
All right.
And then what did you try any did you have any spells specifically that you tried to change the effect that's happening to those people?
Yes. Well, what I found was that when someone had been exposed to the spores generated either just in the ambient environment or by one of the moving plant creatures, or even any of the others that you may have seen on your way here, lesser restoration seems to resolve that, at least if it hasn't progressed too far. But if someone doesn't realize that they've been exposed and they let it go, by the time they start having the compulsion to wander away, it seems as though lesser restoration is no longer sufficient at that point. And I'm afraid that I don't have the resources here to perform anything greater, far from the fact that there are far too many of them afflicted for that to be practical in any case. I believe that the source of the corruption must be dealt with before that anything else can be resolved. But
Definitely.
further, my ability to create food and water has seemed to function here as ordinary. There's nothing unexpected about the performance of the spell in that instance. Further, by the use of the purify food and water spell, food and drink spell, I was able to make some elements of the local fungus apparently safe to eat. We were
Okay.
careful with that to begin with, but we did not have the ability, even with my spells, to provide enough food for everyone. It's been easier for what it's worth since we've lost so many, but I would not make that exchange willingly. We would rather go hungry than to lose the people.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Um, so we need diamond dust if we're going to try greater restoration.
I think we have some, like we had purchased some diamonds a while ago, which we can check to find out. Yeah, so, okay, what I'm gonna need, when you're in the tower, I would like, I mean, you're a presence of authority, and they seem to listen to you, and you know, I would like you to try to keep them from going through these two doors, the one at the top of the stairs, the one here right at the bottom.
She looks
It
at the one
doesn't-
at the bottom and kind of raises an eyebrow. It's like, that door is only 6 inches tall.
Okay, watch. And then I'll have Zinhorn take Buster up and walk him through the big door. Like just have Buster come through, like Zinhorn doesn't have to.
Yeah, well, I would hope that he's done this often enough now that he knows the game.
He knows the
Yeah.
routine.
Yeah.
In fact, actually, make an animal handling check, Zinhorn.
Me and my big mouth. 15.
What is your command for telling Buster to do a loop and go up all the stairs and come out small? You've taught him to do that.
Go through the door.
Go through the door.
Yeah.
Hello.
So you do that, and he's.
Are you gonna like bend down and wait for him to come out
Yeah,
the
he
little
comes
door?
out little at the.
Yep.
So, and then I just sort of gesture over to little tiny guinea pig sized Buster. I'm like, this is what happens when you go through the big door at the top. And
I
if
give
it
him a
happens
treat.
continually, people can become so small that it is all but impossible to find them. So it's dangerous. And I would really appreciate it if you could keep people from wandering.
Yes, I think that's probably for the best. I suppose one shouldn't look gift towers in their little doors.
Yes.
Thank you so
Are
much.
there-
I'm glad that you are here to rescue us, but I think if the process of getting us all the way out of here could commence, I think that would be best.
Yes. So once you go inside the tower, anybody can come out, but I would not recommend it until we come back in to get you.
How long should we wait?
If I don't check in 3 hours, you might want to peek out the door to see what's going on.
Very well.
But I'm hoping that it won't take that long. So once everybody is in,
Mhm.
and Zinhorn and I are going to back out, and I'm going to shrink it down
Okay.
and put it in my pocket so that it's not growing moss anymore.
Sure.
I'm gonna like scrape the moss off, polish it a little bit. Everybody inside shake it
you
around.
do that. I think that there's a little bit of a sense like you wipe it off the bottom of the tower, and then it's a little bit on your hand, and like you kind of try to brush your hand off, and it's just this tiny little bit of a sense like somehow you can still kind of feel it on your hand somehow. Like you don't see any there, but
Okay, I'm gonna ask for some prestidigitation when we get back.
yeah.
So let's go get the others. I think we should get these guys out and then come back.
Yeah, I thought they were going to follow us, but I don't see them. So let's go. get
Yeah. Okay. And like while we're going back to get them, I'm gonna keep my eye out to make sure there's like nothing preparing to ambush us or anything.
Okay. Make a perception check.
15.
Okay. I think that you spot a couple of mounds of fungus that look like they might be able to uproot themselves in the ways that some of the things that you fought before did, but you kind of give them a wide berth and they don't seem to respond to your passing.
All right.
So,
So
did
we
you
make our
leave
way back.
Buster in the tower, or is he still out
Yes.
with you?
Yeah. That was the plan, was to
Sure.
Guinea
get
pig
him out of the
Buster.
way and then go out.
I think
except-
before you come back, I think there would be I think Tabitha would have kind of, as you're preparing to come out, she's going to want to say, so what is the plan here exactly?
Well, we are going to climb out of this dimension back into the material plane.
I mean, is
It-
it that simple? I mean,
Hopefully,
I mean, I'm
I
sure
mean-
rope would help, but we tried climbing back up that slope and pushing through before, and none of us could get through it.
We have
Well-
a rope and we're going to try.
it's
Well, I-
still open right now. It's very little bit still open. That's why I want to do this as fast as we can, because it is closing and I don't know how long it's going to take before it severs that connection.
Mhm.
So just
Well,
be
yeah.
patient.
Well,
We will
okay, you're kind
probably
of telling me you don't know how much longer we have. Also, be patient.
you've been here this whole time and you survived.
Hmm.
You have the opportunity to get out. Don't look a gift tower in the mouth.
Well, no, I'm not. That's not what I mean. I mean what I'm trying to figure out is, if time is a factor, why are we not over there right now?
Because we need to get everybody. They still haven't come. We need to go make sure they're okay.
Okay,
Okay.
fair.
So before we go up, two of us will probably come into the tower with everybody, because only two of us came down because it was easier that way. So just hold tight. We're doing everything we can to get you guys out of here.
All right.
Okay. All right. And then we will, carry on.
Sure.
Go get them.
Okay. So I think Nedry and Lynn, like that, their trip out there and then coming back would have been 10 minutes or so. Would you have stayed there doing other stuff in that time, or would you have left to join them at some point?
Well, I don't really think there's much else we can do, so I'm considering whether or not I would have suggested going back. I think so, because this place gives me the creeps.
Yeah, I need more magic to be able to figure this out, and time. There's some other spells that might work, but I don't have access to those at the moment.
I wonder if Zalien's darkness ribbons would work on that thing.
That was another thought I had, but I don't know if we have time for that.
That we're
But-
having this discussion as we walk back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think as you're turning and heading back, there's sort of a last lingering compulsion to look once over your shoulder at the light. Still, just like, as much as it's unpleasant to look at, it's a little bit like a loose tooth or something like that, or like or a cold sore. You can't quite help poking at it, so, but there's a last glance look back, and it gives you that same sort of headachy, queasy feeling, but you're also just still seeing like the silhouettes of probably more than 100 people
Hmm,
just staring up at it.
That's the hardest part.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So
Well, if it makes you feel any better, they're not really anybody right now.
There you guys are.
so we'll say like that you reunite halfway back or so.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, do you guys want to get back in, and Nedry and I will go back up through the little hole?
if you think the two of you can do it.
I mean, we did before, and if we can't get back up, then we'll, let you know.
Okay. All right.
Let's
I
see,
was-
who did I think I gave an bardic inspiration to Zinhorn before, but I will hit Zaleen with another bardic inspiration.
I think the bardic
Just in case
inspirations
she
only
needs to-
last for 10 minutes if you don't use it.
Yeah, I think so too, but
Yeah, so
yeah.
we're
Yeah, I
going
think
off
I
on
ended up
that.
having one, but I never used it.
yeah, for 10 minutes. So like before we head into the tower, I'll do that.
Mhm.
Just so she has a little extra something to help.
Okay.
All right. So they go into the tower. You have the tower in your pocket.
Yeah.
Once again, you have the rope which is trailing down this steep, slick, goop soaked hillside. So
I'm not exactly sure what it'll be like once we get there, but
And Nedry extends his hand,
shall we fly?
Sure.
and he'll cast fly on the two of us.
all right. That
That way we don't
certainly-
have to touch that acid.
Well, not the part
Like
that's
the
on
ground.
on the ground anyway, and it certainly makes
Yeah.
the you don't have to climb up the slope, which certainly would have required a check. But as you get up to where the rope seems to enter the wall, you can see that the rope, first of all, does seem like just the very little bit of it that you can see just right where it emerges from the wall is starting to look discolored and sort of like kind of melted a little bit. It doesn't look like the rope is going to hold a lot of weight for much longer. But what you've also seen is that around where the rope is penetrating, the wall has kind of swollen up, almost like it's like an infection.
Interesting.
I'll have to see if I can prepare for that.
Yeah. Do you want to go first?
I can certainly try.
All right. So what's your approach here?
Kind of fly until he gets to it, and then it sort of crawl through with the
So,
rope.
Let me be clear. There's no it is
no through, I
it is
realize, yeah.
completely closed up around the rope.
Yeah.
You're going to have to push through.
I'll be like Nedry, back up. And like when he backs up, I'm gonna cast Eldritch Blast at the hole.
Okay. I think it's easy enough to hit that. It definitely disintegrates where the rope was, like the part of the rope that's emerging on your side. Just it falls away.
Right.
But it does sort of damage and cause some, stress disruption to this strange, I'm trying to not go too gross with it, but it is what it is.
Mattressy sponge.
Oil. It's a boil.
Yeah.
There's much worse.
Grotesqueness.
There's much worse.
Yeah.
Well, it's a boil that you're going to now have to try to climb through.
Right.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I think Nedry,
Um,
kind of following Zaleen's lead, will also cast Ray of Frost around it a few times to try to slow its movement, so
Okay.
it isn't able to kind of crawl back to its shape.
Sure. Yeah. So I think now this strange sort of almost fleshy fungus around this place where, first of all, you don't have the rope trailing out of it anymore. You just have the opening that it looks like it's already going to be trying to sort of expel the rest of the rope back through the other way. But now it's all cold and slimy.
Ew.
Mm-hmm.
This is
It's
better.
okay.
This is better.
I'm gonna fly up behind Nedry and just sort of push him through that hole.
Okay, so I mean, how are you going in? What's
Head first.
Pretty much just sort of, fingers and kind of trying to dig his way through.
Yeah. Okay.
This was easier the other direction.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, it wanted you to go that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that is going to require an athletics check, but you can roll with advantage because Zaylene's pushing from behind.
Unfortunately, that makes it even because he's exhausted.
Yeah, I just realized you got everyone in the wrong.
That was acrobatics.
Athletics.
Athletics.
Acrobatics would be better.
Well, yes, but it would also.
Oh, is it?
be-
Sorry, I didn't hear it got muffled. So it's acrobatic. It's athletics then. Never mind.
It is athletics, yeah.
Okay.
Because I mean,
That's
this
terrible.
is strength. You're pushing
Oh.
through physically, not
I don't think I'm going to be able to push through. Maybe Zinhorn would be
Wait,
better at this.
wait a minute. Can't you just use the same roll and just subtract 1? So it would be 15 instead of
Mm,
3?
You know what? I. Yeah.
I mean,
Is it
he
a
already
dramatically appropriate
rolled.
time to fail?
Well, yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, if you want to, that's fine. But I'm just saying, like, since
So,
he already rolled.
Yeah, so here's what, but the thing is, I think what you're finding is it's actually very difficult. So like the 15 is almost incidental. You think it was gonna need more than that. But Nedry, I think what will occur to you is that it's clear, sort of reaching with your hand, that you can sort of follow where the rope is still kind of embedded in it, and you can get sort of enough space that you think you could push the tower through.
Well, that's a thought. What do you say? Move the tower through?
I mean, if we can do that and then have the tower expand when it's on the other side, that would be perfect.
Or expand in the middle? That'll make a big hole.
Oh, yeah, but then it could fall on us.
Then shrink it back down again.
Yeah, okay. Let's try that. So I'm going to stick my hand up into the hole with the tower and I'm going to expand the tower.
Okay.
It's not the
Um,
best crowbar we've had, but
Yeah, why don't we have an immovable rod?
So, I guess my hesitation right now is only how much I think you deserve warning about the possible consequences of this.
Okay.
What I guess I will just remind you is that the sort of geography of the space was there's only sort of a small little antechamber thing of about like 10 feet by 10 feet outside
okay.
where the fungus started that you were coming in, and it wasn't that thick, so a suddenly full-sized tower there,
It would unleash it would break the barrier. Yeah, okay. I get it.
yeah, I think
The
Um,
tower
I-
also
I'll-
is
I'll
not
say that
impermeable.
there's a moment there where you think, at best, there would suddenly be a sideways tower sticking out of the side of where this lot used to be into the street.
Yeah.
What about the other way then? Why don't we get really, really small?
We like us. Oh yeah, because
Yeah.
we're still flying. Like we could just fly up there like little bees.
Well, we could possibly climb through the fibers of the rope, depending how small we get.
All right, let's try that. So we will fly back down and go into the tower while it's tiny.
Okay.
And
Well, remember though
I-
that like in order to make yourselves be smaller when you're on the outside, you need to manipulate the size of the tower to do that.
yeah.
right, so I have to make it like it's sort of stable being small.
Mm-hmm.
Can I make it? I'm gonna have to make it even smaller than it is though, because we won't be able to carry it. Why don't we? Why
So bear
don't
in
you
mind,
get small, Nedry?
Right now, it's about like this,
Right. Yeah.
And so if it was a 12th that size, it's going to be like this, like 2 inches.
Okay. But would I still be able to carry it?
I mean, if you think of like if you had a little model tower that's 2 inches tall, like you could hold that in your hand.
Yeah, but if I shrink down, I'll be small too.
Well, yeah, obviously it's going to be directly relationship. The relationship between your size and its size is gonna,
Okay, as long as I can still carry it, I will do that.
well, it
But-
depends on what you're trying to do.
I don't know if we ever discovered if there were limits to how much it could shrink down. But as long as the tower is shrunk down one size smaller than you can always carry it.
Mhm.
Right. Okay. So how small do we want to be?
Pretty small.
All right. So when we go in, we're going to explain to Zinhorn and Lynn what we're doing
Mhm.
because we're going to need some carriers to carry us up and down, like up the stairs so we can go through the door a couple times.
Mhm.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So, because you have some time and you have this space to work with over there, I think that you can make the arrangements to have yourselves be the size and the tower proportionate to you that you can carry it. Um, how small are you making yourselves?
bumblebee size. Is that small enough, do you think?
Maybe smaller.
So that would essentially remember that you're doing it in like factors of 12. So if you go one stage smaller, you're essentially like action figure size, right?
Right.
Another stage smaller, you'd be action figure to an action figure, and that's where you would be like an ant size.
Right. So do you want to be ant size?
I think that's the only space around the rope we'll be able to get
Okay. We're going to talk
We'll have
with
to
really
crawl
high-pitched
basically.
voices.
between the fibers almost.
Yeah. Let's try it. I mean, if it doesn't work, we can just fly back out.
Well, I'll have to cast that again, but yes.
Okay.
Okay. So I think that do you have the spell to cast fly again?
I do, yeah.
I mentioned that only just because probably to deal with the adjustments to the tower, you didn't do that at the top of the steep, slippery slope, right? You probably went back down to the base of it. But then once you made yourselves that small, even with fly, it's now proportionately a much further distance to get back up there, which you can do. It's just we're talking about, I think we want to have, this surreality of this image appropriate, now that you're the same size relative to each other and to this little tower that you're carrying, but now these tiny little tendrils of moss and fiber that you were seeing on the ground have become these enormous, like tree trunk sized tendrils, and everything above you might as well become a night sky instead of a distant ceiling. And as you now take to the air once again with the fly spell, it becomes like flying up the side of a mountain rather than just up a couple of rounds of flying up the slope. But then once
Keep in touch. I'll have to cast this again.
Okay.
Mhm.
I'll
Well,
stay like right with you. So I'm not going to go too far from you just because we're so small. And I don't want either one of us to get lost. In fact, I think we should have probably tied a rope around each other like a little thread.
well, you could have used regular rope and tied yourselves when you were, like made the
Yeah.
rope smaller with you. But yeah, so I think once you arrive back at this opening, you have now made yourself small enough that the different sort of coiled pieces of the rope, you can actually sort of just sneak into the gap where this fungal like orifice has closed around the rope, but the different components, the different threads of the rope have the little gaps, and you can kind of just sneak through there and trail along the outside. But here's the thing, this is still going to require strength. And now what would have been, perhaps a foot worth of of membrane to pierce through is now a substantial distance. And so what I'm going to ask for both of you is to make a strength or an athletics check and a constitution saving throw.
Okay, I'm gonna cast guidance
Okay.
on myself just because I'm not the
Mhm.
best. So,
So it was
oh my
athletic,
God.
athletics and constitution.
Yeah, a constitution saving throw and then athletics. Yeah.
Oh. What
Okay,
was the
so that's the con
negative
save
4?
and athletics better.
Okay.
So I have 7 for my athletics.
Okay. So do remember
And
that your
18.
athletics if you're exhausted, Nedry.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yep, I'll just roll it again. That's better. So
Oh, okay. Well,
that's
there
all
you
right.
go. So, yeah. So, I think that what both of you experience is that the acid damage that you were taking when you were encountering it before at this size becomes possible to avoid because you realize that there are sort of big, like pussy pockets of this material that seem to burst and give off the acid, but to some extent you're able to avoid it on your way through, and that is part of what you're doing is trying to avoid those. But I'm afraid that Zaleen, you managed to earn yourself 11 acid damage by not being able to fully avoid all of those little pockets. And both of you, well, let's see, the Constitution save for it was 18 and 12. I think Nedry, I think you've earned another level of exhaustion as you're trying to
Okay.
squirm through this this journey here, because it's essentially you guys you're doing the sewer pipe crawl from Shawshank Redemption here is what's
Okay.
happening.
So we have to do it again?
Oh, no. So
Oh,
that,
okay.
but what I'm just trying to illustrate here is that this is not a quick
Right.
process. This takes a
Okay.
while for you to get through. It's very tight and cramped and unpleasant all the way through. But you do eventually find yourself seeing an enormous bright space with this rope that is almost like an enormous suspension bridge trailing down, as you can see, and realizing that as you look down this enormous cliff face that you're actually you're just about 6 inches off the ground.
Okay.
Oh boy.
All right. We got to get out of here before the tentacles realize we're here.
Yep. Just give me a minute.
Yeah. I need
Okay.
a nap.
I need a lot of things right now, but do you want to fly? It's probably easier.
It's probably easier.
Here.
Yeah.
He'll cast fly again.
Okay. And so from there, I think you're easily able to kind of navigate yourselves over to the the area of cobblestone that was just outside where the wards are holding the fungus at bay. And it feels like you're on an enormous boulder in a boulder field of likewise enormous boulders.
This is a really intriguing perspective. Remind me to do this again sometime.
Okay. So are we outside the barrier now?
Yes, you are now in that little area where you're inside the barricade, but outside the magical ward.
Okay. I'm going to put the tower down
Okay.
and go inside it.
Mm-hmm.
And since we're flying, I'm just going to fly up the stairs.
Okay.
I'm gonna fly through the
Yeah.
door and out through the top.
I think Zinhorn and Lynn, as you see Zaleen sort of return to a proportional size that you can observe, you recognize like that she's like just covered in slime, just like coated, just like smeared in mud.
I'll make sure to order you a bath as soon as we get back to the hotel.
Okay.
Can't you do that thing where you clean her off?
No,
Well,
it takes too
would-
long.
Take forever.
You could do 'em on the
Although
head, like
I'll
the
do a
face
little
or something.
prestidigitation on our face. It's like that's better.
Yeah, because
Basically-
my goth eyeliner was running. Like it was it was like really gross. So we made it out, but I want to kind of get away from here before we let everybody out because it's going to be weird. I have to put the tower back so that they can come out at their size. So,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
So I will take care of that stuff so that way.
Well, so what do you have in mind? Because I think that since you sort of reset the tower's relative size, everyone in it is currently, set to default along with it.
Right. So if they go outside, they'll be their regular size, right?
No, not right now, because that's what you had
Right.
to do in order to make yourselves come out small. Is that
Yeah.
what you did would have that same effect on everybody that was.
Right. So I want to reset it again
Mhm.
so that they can come out at their regular
I
size.
think what we need to reset is the rules of exactly how that stuff works. Just because
Yeah.
Wibbly
it's a little
wobbly,
bit unclear.
wally.
Timey-wimey,
I'm
sizey
trying to
wisey.
come up with rules, but I think we have not necessarily been holding tight to them. But in any event, let's not belabor the point. Let's say that you are able, with the guards' communication, like you are able to. Well, let's see. You know what? Let's not fuss around with that. I don't think that's interesting to say. How do you get the guards' attention when you're the size of an ant? And
Telepathy.
No, what? That does sound like fun. You do have to do that because you have to find a spot where there's enough room to return this tower to full size before you can let everyone out to be normal sized.
Nedry can use his little gnat telepathy.
Yeah.
He's just like buzz up by their ear, be like bzz, bzz.
Hey, 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 hey.
Well, I think your telepathy wouldn't be small, would it?
Hey, listen.
His voice would still be all like that though.
Yeah. Yeah, to him, his inner voice is hello.
Yeah, you cast light
other
on
voices.
yourself as
Hi.
you're buzzing around like an ant. It would definitely be there's big Navi energy.
Actually, no. He doesn't have to get that close. He'll use message.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What do you send? Because you have the one guard that kind of escorted you there, and he was just waiting just right outside.
This is Nedry. We have returned. We need a space large enough to put a tower. We have some rescued.
Fantastic. Where are you?
I'm right beside you, but I'm very, very small. I mean, more than normal.
I'm gonna have him roll a perception check. No, he what? What? He's looking
I'm just
around.
going to fly into his ear.
Okay.
This is me in your ear.
And I'll say it out loud at the same time.
This is me in your ear.
Yeah. Make a dexterity saving throw.
Oh, geez. 22. Natural
Okay.
20.
You are able to evade his hand as he instinctively swats at his ear because it feels like a little mosquito has landed on it.
Hey, watch it, or I'll have to go deeper. You won't like that.
Okay. Sorry. This is a little. I mean, did being in the fungus make you like that?
No, magic. I'll explain if there's time.
Okay. So wait, you need like a vacant lot?
Yeah, something big.
And I'll describe this dimensions of the tower as its normal size, I guess.
Okay. I mean, does it need to be? Is it going to be there for a long time? Does it need to be secret? I mean, you just need the physical
Well,
space.
It doesn't need to be there long, but it should probably be secluded if possible. We're going to be bringing out some survivors, and I don't think you want that public knowledge just yet.
Okay, well, like I can bring you to sort of like a plaza where there would be room, and that's just a couple blocks that way. But if you need like a place where a tower that big won't be seen by anybody, I like that's going to take longer.
Okay.
I mean, this
It's
is a
not
big
really.
city. There's a lot of people around.
I know. You know what? Okay, go for the nearest.
All right. So you're able to just sort of ride him probably as he walks. Just
Grab
a
onto
couple,
an ear hair.
Yeah. He walks just a couple of blocks over, and there's a big sort of plaza, and he just starts shouting at everyone. All right, I need everyone to just clear an area, just and because there's just people kind of wandering through, but he clears a space. He seems to have sufficient authority that people are willing to move out of the way.
Did you tell him to pick up the tower?
I thought I was carrying it.
Oh,
It's small
okay.
enough for us to carry, right?
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, I assumed you were kind of that Zaleen went in the tower and Nedry was carrying it.
Okay.
Well, once he's got it cleared away, I will send him the telepathic message.
Perfect. This is probably going to be a little disturbing to you, but it's okay.
And I'll cast fly again.
Okay.
I'm starting to get really low on spells. So that's really funny. And yeah, fly to an open space that seems appropriate, and then
Alright.
basically knock on the door.
Okay. Yeah, so it pops you inside, and now you can confirm. In fact, Zaleen, I think when you have control over this spell, I think there's an intuitive little sort of warning alert that lets you know if like there's not space enough to enlarge the tower in a given area, and it gives you the all clear from that perspective.
Okay. Okay. So I will spend the minute it takes to readjust the size.
Mm-hmm.
I want us
and-
to paint the tower blue and have a light on top, and then have this weird cranky noise every time it appears like this.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
So-
so people are surprised and interested and excited by the sudden appearance of a tower, but it's also not the weirdest thing these people have ever seen. The idea of conjuring a tower is not outside the realm of their understanding of the universe. But
Especially
it's
not
still
lately.
Yeah, well,
Right?
but it's still interesting, right? Like, just because they have heard of such things happening and their minds aren't blown doesn't mean it's not something they still want to stand around and stare at.
So we will make our way outside and start ushering the survivors that we brought out.
I think before people start coming out, I think Essel will briefly pull you aside, Zaleen, and say, I do have some concern that some of the people here may have some degree of infection that they're not aware of. Is there any protocol or quarantine or?
I think
We
we
can
should
help.
Yes. Lynn actually has, if they're willing, she actually has the capability to perform some musical magic that will help them.
Cut to
Epic
It's
Like a
temper.
Zumba class. It'll be great.
Cut to it is now this same plaza with the dance Lynn's Dance Your Heart Out music playing, and all of these people just having a big outside middle of the day dance party.
It's a Zumba class. I told you.
It's the Tower Block Party.
Lots of the people who are just standing by join in just for the pleasure of it. And some of them perhaps are able to let go some of the things that have been bothering them, or
It's like at the end of Return of the Jedi when the Ewoks were all dancing around.
Oh no, it's a Yub Nub.
yeah. So that's
Nerds.
amazing. I love that. So yes, I think in that regard, I think we'll have. So we cut to that happening, and then we sort of pan back over to Euzaline and the priestess Essel kind of standing to the side watching that, and she's just saying, well, that works, I suppose.
I mean, they're going to be a little tired, but you know.
I have so many new friends.
I think she does look to you, Zaline, as all of this is happening, just because you're the one that's kind of was right there talking to her and escorting. What she says is, I have to thank you for coming to our rescue. There were those in our group that feared all was lost, and I was beginning to have more and more difficulty persuading them to maintain hope. Even myself, I had only my faith to preserve it in me. But thank you. I'm so pleased that Empress Solomonia sent you to us.
Yeah, I think that, we were there when this happened and we actually escaped, and there was no way, knowing that there might still be people alive, that we could just walk away and leave you in there. And we are going to come up with a plan to go back in there and take care of whatever that is and see if we can actually save those people. I don't know if we can. They might be too far gone. But
there's
we're going to
anything
do
I
everything
can-
we can.
If there's anything I can do to help, I'm going to report the situation to my. Well, I hope that they have not replaced me in the time that I've been gone, but I guess speak to the Church of Solomonia, and I imagine that they will be able to provide some degree of assistance as well. As I mentioned inside, the force that has taken up residence inside that tower, that has created this strange fungus, it is demonic, I am sure of it.
I trust your intuition.
Well, it's not merely my intuition, but the guidance of Empress Solomonia.
Well, if I'm going to see if we can, talk to our employers and see if there's something we can do, if there are forces we can gather and enter the same way we went in before, and maybe take care of it. So if
How can
if-
how can I reach you?
um
And this is where Carolina charges
Yeah.
over, is like, here,
Ah!
with the business card.
I got it! I got a card! Running across from the music stops all of a sudden as
It's-
Lynn just stops playing and runs.
she
across the
hears
plaza.
things like that from other dimensions.
Fantastic. So I think as she bids you goodbye and to return to her church, and several of the others are realizing, oh yeah, I should probably check my mail and let my wife know I'm alive and stuff like that.
Well, I'm going to make sure to get everyone's name and profession so that we have a list.
I think that
Yeah.
that's, I mean, you can assist with that if you want, but once it's clear, we cut through some of this, but once it's clear that you actually had brought people out of there, then there was also all of a sudden a lot more support from other guards. And in fact, actually, as you are, so like there are people doing that.
Okay.
They've spun up the protocols, so to speak. So if you wanted to be involved, you could, but it does seem like there's
As long as we're tracking who came out,
mhm.
so that they can compare it with the list of the missing people.
Mhm.
Well, so I think as you are kind of seeing some of that resolve, and Essel, this priestess, goes away, there is another one of these guards with a slightly unusual, like not just a street corner town guard uniform, comes over and says, the friend of the emperor would like to speak with y'all.
All right. Let's grab our tower and go talk to the friend of the emperor.
I think you
Okay.
find that
I will
leaning up against the side of the tower. He's fast asleep at this point.
I'll just
Yeah.
pick him up and put him on my
Yeah,
shoulder.
just baby carry him.
Aw.
I will actually like make a quick walk through the tower just to make sure that nobody's in there still
Mhm.
before
But you
I.
should be able to sense that, shouldn't you?
Yeah, I should, but I would
Yeah.
still like visually just to make sure.
Yeah, so you can do a check of all of the rooms, and there's a fair amount of disruption just from having that many people crowd into it for a little while, but you don't sense any remaining sentient minds present within the tower, and so as
So I
you-
will shrink it down.
yes, as you are escorted, not too far away, you are escorted into what looks like it's just kind of a like a sidewalk cafe, bistro sort of restaurant place that has like sidewalk dining, but all of the tables are currently cleared, and there's a sign on the door that says, closed for private occasion. And you are escorted through there, and you see Nelson Devereaux at one of the tables eating a meal with Tabitha of the Stars. And as they look up, he gestures for you to join.
Yep.
This is a noodle place. They have a variety of different kinds of noodles and sauces, and he says, feel free, to order. If they got menus, but you can also just get some of this if you want. This is pretty good. And he's just pointing. He's got like a peanut sauce Thai sort of noodle thing. Like, it's not Thai specifically, but to give you an indication of what I mean. This is spicy noodles with peanut sauce.
All right.
I'm
I'll
gonna
get
get
one of
some.
those.
I'm gonna get some Fantasy World ramen.
Old soba
Tabitha of the
noodles with
Stars
dipping
is
sauce.
eating hungrily. She is not being shy about how she was probably went for a month eating only the bland create food and water food and mushrooms, which probably used to be poisonous before it was magically purified.
And we're maybe even people, who knows?
Gross.
In any case, she was hungry, is the point. So she's not saying much because she is eating. She is eating noodles. But so as you're sitting down and they're bringing out some, dishes for you to just sit at this table in the otherwise empty restaurant here, Nelson Devereaux says, "Well, I have to say, I am mighty impressed at the speed of your success, partial though it may be still. I'm told that there are a number of people still inside might be affected by some kind of evil contamination."
They
That-
said something about a demonic presence. Nedry, do you think banishment would work on something like that, or do you think it's from there?
He's asleep.
He's
I
quiet.
did,
Oh my god.
I did speak with the priestess, and she does. She's pretty convinced that it is a demonic presence.
Empress Solomonia is the source of that information. So
Was her confirmation.
I would take it as gospel, quite literally.
Yeah.
Well, certainly have no reason to doubt it. It does seem to correspond with some of what we've been able to tell from out here, what with the celestial nature of the wards that were keeping it at bay, and the evil nature of the fungus itself. But that's good to know. But so while I want to actually sincerely applaud your success for bringing out the people that you have, I want to know what ideas do you have about how we might recover the rest of those people?
Well, the priestess said that she thought taking out the thing at the top of the tower, because apparently the ancient tower building is still intact. If we go in there, I don't think the people and the way that they're infected, I don't think they'll bother us if we go that way until we attack whatever's in the tower. But I think if we can get rid of what's at the center of that, whatever the demonic possession is, then we may just be able to get all those people back. Who knows? We might even get the tower back.
I
Uh,
think. Go ahead.
Well, the older structure is destroyed. Excuse me, the newer structure is destroyed. The old original structure is apparently intact, but we haven't been in it yet.
Well,
So,
Tabitha here has told me that there's some kind of light up there.
yeah,
That's the demonic entity that is it's somehow affecting these people, charming them so that they're drawn to its light, and that's all they think about. Once they get past a certain point of no return, like basic magic healing and stuff doesn't work, like restoration, but greater restoration might work, but it's not something that we are capable of doing
I can do it
in
quite
mass.
Yeah.
I'm saying, like, there are about 100, at least 100 people down there that need this kind of magic, but perhaps we could join forces with some of the other clerics, the temples in the city, and bring them with us to do this.
Well, we also need $100 worth, 100 gold pieces worth of diamond dust to do a greater restoration.
Well, to be
So-
sure, the Empire does have a number of resources at our disposal, but 100 gold worth of diamond dust adds up when we're talking about more than 100 people. If there's another way short of doing one-offs and spending time in that dangerous place in the meantime.
Mhm.
Didn't the priestess say that she thought it was maybe possible if we destroyed the demonic entity that
Yeah.
Yeah,
Whatever
that's
would be
what I
broken?
just
See, I
said.
like that idea. That
Yeah.
sounds like the right thing to me, because not only is it going to save us some diamond dust, but also it sounds like destroying a demonic entity is probably for the good regardless.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, definitely.
definitely.
All right. Now, what I suppose that we can do here is, like, how much of a ticking clock are we talking about, you suppose?
Tabitha, how long have those people been like that?
She's like, oh, slurps up a noodles. I mean, some more than others, right? Because we had some that got infected right away, and then it was more and more over the course. But we definitely saw that if you go out there, if you get, like, the people that are closer to the tower are harder to see now, but the longer they've been out there, the weaker and more sort of drawn out they look. I don't. It's almost like it's sapping energy from them somehow or something. So I don't. The longer it goes on, the worse they look.
Right, and it does seem that they're infested with the fungus.
Nedry said when we were in there poking around a little bit when you took everybody back to the tower, he read like their thoughts, and he said there wasn't very much of them left, and what there was like buried way down.
Right.
So
I
it's
don't-
possible that they may not be whole people that can be recovered, even if we do get rid of the possession.
I don't think that's necessarily true. I think that the possession is so strong at this point that as long as they have that entity to focus on, they're gonna maintain that focus because the hold is stronger.
I'm saying this is a possibility that some people may not come out of this intact.
Well, it's certainly true. I think that we ought to be aware of the possibility of those people not being recoverable, but nonetheless, you plan for what's that saying? I always
Hope for the best
Hope
and
for the
plan
best
for
and
the
plan
worst.
for the worst.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. So obviously, I think even if we can't recover those people, I think making sure that thing in there can't do that anymore. And also, ideally, allowing us to reclaim a piece of prime real estate in the old city so that it's not, covered by fungus that needs to be protected by celestial wards for the rest of existence. Like, that's still a win. But if we can get those people back too, all the better.
Yeah,
Yep.
we definitely at least need to get some rest. It was very exhausting, but I don't know. I think that we could get back in there tomorrow. What do you guys think?
Nedry might need an extra day, but we're definitely gonna need until tomorrow. Before we try again.
Zinhorn, I know you would certainly know that greater restoration can remove levels of exhaustion as well. Like a long
Okay.
rest will do one, and then you could do that spell to do another if it came to it.
Right.
think
I don't
that-
have it. I don't have that one available right now. So even if I have the diamond dust, it would have to wait until after a long rest. And like we've only been we in and out in an hour, so it's still
Right,
fairly
so-
early in the day.
I think that if we took today to kind of prepare and gather supplies and maybe if Nedry wakes up, some kind of strategy, I think we could be ready to go like tonight,
Mm, I don't know. I mean,
really early tomorrow morning, like we did today.
we need at least a long rest.
Yeah,
Well, that's what
and we
it would-
just woke up a
that
little
would
while
feel-
ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I think
that's
I
what
think
I'm
it's
saying,
actually
like-
been a few hours at this point. So you're probably getting close to lunchtime right now. Which it may also briefly occur to you that this restaurant is probably would normally be busy at lunch, and yet it's been kind of
If-
commandeered here. But I think you had an early long rest last night, but you wouldn't be able to just go to sleep at noon again.
Right.
Right.
So like super early tomorrow morning, we could go out again because that would be after the long rest and any
Right.
preparation and strategizing.
If Zinhorn can afford to spare a spell to reduce Nedry's other level of exhaustion to get rid of it.
Well,
Because, I
Well,
mean,
I think
We're
we
in
know
a
some people
city.
that might be
Somebody
able
else
to help.
should be able to help. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that is a degree of assistance we can provide in this circumstance. To have one of our experts on the field at his fighting best.
okay. Then, yeah, I think we'd be ready by tomorrow morning to head back in there and take care of it.
All right, now
Yep.
any other things that we ought to be aware of, short of just maintaining the current containment protocol we have been?
We should probably burn that rope so that the fungus doesn't sneak out through the rope the way that Zaleen and Nedry did.
And anything that the people had on them, you may want to get rid of because
Mm.
while my music is very powerful and it certainly does a lot to cleanse the body and the spirit, the clothes are another matter.
Spores.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also, I don't know if this is a thing or not, but do they make rope out of metal?
You mean
Like cable?
chain?
Well, yeah, a chain would work, like a chain rope, because the acid ate through the rope relatively quickly. And who knows how long this will take and whether or not that acid will still be effective once we do defeat it.
Hmm.
So if we had something a little stronger than hemp or whatever to, get back out.
Yeah, that's something we can provide.
And it is, I think I've heard of like a metal cable that's like woven together the way that hemp rope is.
Yeah, remember this is a city that has like big elevators and
Right.
ships and stuff. Like people know what cable is. It's
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, a piece of that instead of chain.
I think chain might be easier to handle though.
Well, if
Yeah,
there are
but
any
think about how
magical
you
guards
got
that can
out.
be applied to metal to keep it free of corrosion, that might be helpful.
But you got out by going through the center of the rope. If we get a braided cable, it would be tougher and it would still have that way out.
Do you think it would be possible? I know you have a lot of resources, But maybe just to make it a little faster, if you had a spare, I don't know, like a scroll or something of, what's that spell that lets you like travel from one plane to another? Do we have? Anybody have?
Oh, plane shift?
Yeah, maybe
that it?
something like that. I know that's really expensive though. We talked about that before. So if that's not available, then that's fine. I was just trying to think of some other way to get out of there that didn't involve, climbing through acid.
Yeah, or, as an emergency, uh, like in order to save ourselves so we can try again,
I
having
mean,
a
we can
way
stuff a
out.
bunch of people in the tower. It's just getting them out again is the problem.
Right.
I don't think we can plane shift 100 people.
If they were put in the tower in your pocket,
I don't think 100 people will fit in the tower. I'm not sure. I mean, it was pretty tight in there with the 25.
won't know until we try.
Oh God, I'm not shrinking down 100 people.
They
Invisible
used to have
sleeping Nedry.
contests. They used to have contests for seeing how many people you could stuff inside the sending booths. Siona told me about them. Like there was a long time ago, but
Right. Well, so I might look into what it might take to get a plane shift scroll. Would any of you actually be able to cast that?
I'm not sure Nedry might. I think this would be a good time to try to poke exhausted Nedry awake a little bit.
I think so. First of all, I believe that plane shift. I want to say it's a 7th level spell. And so I think even if plane shift is on one of your class spell lists, you would still probably have to make.
oh, well,
a
I know
check.
Cleric has it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't know what level.
Right. So you would theoretically be able to cast it, but you would need to make a check, a spell casting ability check so there would be a possibility that it would fail.
So either Nedry or Zinhorn, because my cleric spell casting modifier is not very high right now.
Yeah. So I can look into that, but that's a pretty tall order, especially for something that's not got a guarantee of success.
Right. I just thought it might be something, or maybe you would have another idea of a, break glass in case of emergency kind of thing.
Well, at the very least, your sending stone to reach me ought to be able to reach me through that, as long as it's not being directly blocked.
Well, I mean, do you being friend of the emperor? I imagine people within the emperor's court. If he has like a court wizard or something, and we sent you a message, maybe he could plane shift into to get us out.
I'll look into that too, but I think that's going to be a bigger thing. Not to mention the fact that I would ideally like this whole enterprise to make as few waves as possible, short of the
Right.
actual recovery of the people.
Right.
The less we have to engage with the mechanisms of the bureaucracy, the better.
I agree.
But I can get you some chain or cable. That's no problem.
I mean, and there's also the possibility that once we defeat this entity, that plane might open up. I mean, we
Or
might,
completely collapse.
yeah.
Well, that is one of the reasons that we have gotten ourselves a team of pocket dimension experts to help us determine some of these things.
I'm gonna lean over to Zaylee and it's like, he means we're dispensable.
I know. I thought he meant we were experts.
So we're
Yeah.
yeah. So I think then that unless you want to, he's going to encourage you to not just go about your business, but rather to keep you sort of under wraps until you're ready, but he can help with whatever preparations you might need. But what other things
Also,
do you
two
think
of
you
our
would
people
want?
are really gross right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, certainly.
like I
Yeah.
need a bath. I need 2 baths.
Yeah. Well, they can definitely, there's baths to be had at this hotel they set up for you.
I might need some new clothes too, because acid ate through my
Mhm.
shirt. I mean, it looks kind of goth, but I don't know.
Acid wash.
Acid wash. It's like fishnets now on my pants.
Hmm. So, what other things though do you think would you all be doing to get ready?
Change my spell.
I'm gonna look through my spell list to
Okay.
see if I can find things that are better focused on demonic, like celestial energies and things like that.
So I think they do make arrangements to have one spell of Greater Restoration cast on Nedry to remove 1 level of your current exhaustion, and they can provide, the cable that you talked about.
Is there anything else that you guys can think of that we need? I mean, I still have 1 healing potion.
Is there anything else that we could use to like keep the hole open or wider?
Well, I mean, we're dealing with the tentacles. That's the problem. Like we had to give in to the tentacles to get into that plane, just relaxing and letting them draw us in. So going back out, they fight against it. I mean, we were
Yeah.
lucky because we were
I-
small.
I think part of what you would find is like if you tried to have on the cable sort of like an affixed ring thing that was designed to sort of hold it open. The problem is that the depth that you're passing through is enough that it would have to be relatively long, like a pipe almost. But like Jenny was just saying, the sort of the tendrils of it would be attempting to pull that in along with everything else.
I mean, there are all kinds of possibilities of things that can be done.
I know.
I might recommend multiple chains and a really strong ox on the outside that can be signaled. Maybe to pull on the chains, and then maybe it might make it easier to get through. But I mean, maybe just exploding the thing too might work. I don't know. haven't figured
Well, I
it
mean,
all out yet.
yeah. I think
If anybody has the capacity to what was I saying? Oh, right. If anybody has the capacity, any sort of resistance to any of the magics that are there, things that would prevent charming, your darkness sailing might also help. And there was something else too. It'll come to me.
I actually have I can cast magical darkness, not just my tentacles. But I can cast the darkness spell. So if we could cast that in front of the light, that might actually help a little bit to get those people moving. If it block the light.
Yeah, depending on how deep it's gone, and from what I was able to glean, it went pretty deep. They might also feel compelled to move to the spot a little more closely. And in fact, I'm not really sure why they stopped where they did, because I think they could have gotten closer, but it might be part of the transformation sequence where they're not needing to go any closer.
I know this is a weird thing because we don't really plan, but what if we had a big light source that we took with us that we could turn on the other side of that cavern, and then when we block out the light, they would be drawn toward the opposite side.
Well, it's kind of a different effect though, because there's also like a weird psychic thing that it does. It's a charming effect, so it's not just the light. It would have to be the light and the charming effect.
But what
Maybe
I'm-
even psychic damage.
But what I'm thinking is if they don't have the source of the light like drawing them in. I mean, I know it's like a mental thing too, but if they can't see the light, maybe they would just gravitate towards, you know, the next biggest light source. Does that make sense?
It might fool them for a little while. Your lights seem to confuse it at least a little while, Carolina, but it figured it out pretty quickly.
But that was
Sort of.
because the other light was still there. Like if they can't see it because it's like enshrouded in darkness. I mean,
I
my
object. I make all kinds of plans, just never really make it that far into them.
it's true. Um, I gotta
Maybe
look at-
something simpler. Often I've been accused of making things more complicated than they have to be, so I'm trying really hard not to. But what about just getting really thick leather bags and putting them over their heads?
That would take a lot of time. I mean, that's a good idea, but I mean, that you're talking 100 people getting bags over their heads.
And we'd risk us getting drawn into the light as well, because we'd have to get really close.
Well, we're going to have to get really close anyway.
Well, yes, but if it has the darkness on it, then. But I think the bags might take a little too long.
Yeah. I'm
But
looking-
maybe-
What if we put the light in the
Zinhorn-
darkness then? In a
Zinhorn-
bag.
Do you know maybe someone at the church would have more ideas about protection from demonic entities or
Yeah,
defeating them
I
or
was
whatever?
just reviewing my spells and
Is there anything in Nedry's religious teachings or religious learnings, because he studied religious magic as well,
Mhm.
that he could think about that?
Make a religion check. So, like,
Can I
well,
help him?
Sure. Yeah. In fact, or you can either help or you can both make one. Are you specifically wanting to like what's good against demon stuff, or trying to just understand more about what this situation might be?
More about the latter, trying to figure out if there's something of a story or
Mhm.
a thing of like this type kind of thing.
And I'll let actually Carolina make a history check as well.
I'm going to do a separate check to
Okay.
see if I can determine like what kind of stuff would be best against them.
Okay. Well, you would be doing that instead of giving advantage to.
Right. That's what I mean. I'm going to make my own check.
Sure.
So is it history or religion?
Well, do you prefer one or the other? You mentioned religion first, so I think
Yeah,
you'll get
yeah.
different information depending on which one it is. I just said history
Yeah.
to Carolina because I know she has that one, not religion.
He's better at history, but he'll try religion.
Okay.
I'm going to cast guidance on myself too.
That's not the right
Alright.
one. Use the
So
worst of those
weird,
two.
'cause
Okay.
The dice that rolled showed up as a 12, but it only counted as a 10. It's weird.
Okay.
So he rolls a disadvantage still because he still has one level of exhaustion, but the worst of
Okay.
those was 22.
Okay.
No, that was mine,
Oh,
Starla.
that was yours?
The 12 is mine.
Oh, mine
Yeah,
didn't
the
show
third-
up? No, no.
Starlight-
22 is
Okay.
is mine.
So
Yeah.
you guys. So Starla got a 13.
Right.
Jenny got a 12.
Yeah,
Then
plus
I got
one because I cast guidance on
All
myself
right.
too.
Yeah.
So 13.
And Tiny Nedry or Tired Nedry got 22.
Yeah. So Zaylene, I think that you know that if you're like you don't get a ton here specifically tactically, other than just the thing that if it is in fact demonic or fiend related, then things like protection from good and evil are definitely going to be useful in that regard. Things potentially like remove curse and lesser restoration can be helpful with some of those sorts of things.
Radiant damage.
Radiant damage will often help, but also I think you recognize that in this specific circumstance, the thing that you're dealing with is specifically making a lot of light, and so that might be, it's kind of like you don't cast fire spells on the thing that's hanging out
Right.
in lava, right? It's
Okay.
but nonetheless, because in fact, I think that in a lot of respects, for you specifically, Zaleen, this is just another indication of how the oversimplified idea of radiant being positive always is not always true. There can be evil radiant energy.
I'm gonna write that down for when I start my cult.
Carolina, I think that there's something about this that is like, you feel like there's something to it. You don't quite have it yet, but there's a connection between this and something else that but you're gonna have to like think about it some more.
Yeah, I have something, but I can't quite put my finger on it.
Mhm.
I'll think about it.
Make sure to write everything down. That's what I do.
Although it's fun, as much as I'm doing that, I'm realizing I'm about to give Nedry essentially the information that you would need. So I think this will unlock things. Nedry, it occurs to you specifically when thinking about it in the context of religious history and if it's demonic and everything, and just the way that it's all appearing. In particular, all of the fungus and that sort of nature of it, right? That there was at one time a demon lord named Shikusada, which was the demon lord of rot and decay, defeated by the heroes of legend at Emerald Arboris when it was still in the Astral Sea.
I know why I didn't think of that, because I wasn't actually there.
Now, this is a demon lord that didn't represent itself in fungus specifically at that time, but you think it's possible that this setup here and the way it seems to be drawing people and almost kind of feeding off of them, you think might be some kind of a setup that would be designed to restore that demon lord. You don't know how that would have come about, but there's just like telltale signs that seem aligned with that. So it's not clear who it is that would want that to happen, but this seems like something that could do it.
So the way that they're being taken into the light, that's not quite the right way to put it, but it's almost as though they're being drained and converted, more like wood for a fire. And the fire that's being lit, well, there's many figures maybe that might fit that, but there was a demon lord a long time ago that was particularly nasty, related to acid considerably, which would account for a lot of what's happening there. That may have been, and I still hold that it might have been a pocket dimension created by someone like Selter. But then if it was a place of abundant life, a creature like that would find it useful to drain that life. And then when intelligent life, like the people that were in the building, went there, I would imagine that would be even more lucrative, I guess, or tasty. No, maybe more like tinder to the fire. I'm losing my analogy somewhere. I'll have to write it down.
You need a nap.
I had a nap. It was very nice, but
I know.
needed to be longer, I think.
You need a bigger nap.
I need a lot of things. Paper mostly.
Well, you got a bunch of paper, right? Before he went to the
Oh, yeah.
library the last time.
But he always needs to write stuff down.
Sure,
That's the
sure.
thing. Is like
Yeah.
he wants to write, but he's tried, and it sort of comes out as
Mhm.
worse scribble than most scribble.
Well, I would certainly encourage you all. You're kind of having this conversation, but you are also specifically kind of talking about how are you going to spend the whole rest of the day before you sleep again, and then get ready to go back in there, right? So like that, you could potentially have some, limited downtime in there that could be used for things like transcribing spells and so on.
I'm actually gonna go shopping and get some new clothes.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna go back to Sticky Zickies and see if I can get another one of those bats.
Yeah, nice, nice.
It's a callback.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I need spell components.
Mm-hmm.
you
Okay.
can go with me to Sticky Zickies.
Okay. I also need money for spell components because I need
I have
1,000 gold pieces worth of herbs and oil.
Oh, I don't
Yeah.
have that much dollars.
There's
I think
uh,
looking.
a spell called Hallow,
Mm.
which allows me to designate an area as hallowed ground, which I think might come in handy if we're facing a fiend or
Mhm.
something demonic.
Yeah.
How
How
long does it take to
that take
cast?
Yeah.
Everybody thinking the same thing. Takes 24 hours to cast.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I thought. I was like, that's a long
Oh.
one.
It's a powerful spell, though.
Oh, yeah.
I missed
I don't
that.
want to stay there a whole day though.
Mhm.
All right. Well, Dad, thank you.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to keep that one.
So you don't need 1,000.
I don't need it.
Okay.
No.
I have 275 gold.
I still
right
need
now.
gold dust.
Well, so I think what we're going to actually do is we're going to go ahead and fade out our session for tonight. But we can certainly make sure that we work out all of these little intermediate bits of business that don't necessarily need to be on camera. We can make sure that they're all arranged for when it's
We'll work out a 15-point plan with contingencies and
Throw it all out next session.
Yep.
pretty much.
15-point plan. I need a finance plan for all these spell components.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask, did Lord Yobert come back yet, or has
They're
it's only
on-
been like a
on his
day?
way. He's on his way. It hasn't been that long.
Okay.
And believe it or not, Sunia does not actually fly super fast.
But she flies and we believe in her.
Yeah.
That's right.
No, she's great, but just not speedy. Yeah, in any case, we're gonna leave it here for now. But thank you everyone for listening and or watching, including our beloved Viv in the chat. We love you. We miss you.
We miss
And
you.
we will be back next week for more adventure on so many levels.
So many levels.
Levels.